Good morning. This is Andrew. How are you?
Good morning. We're fine. Mr. Roberts, how you doing?
Good, good, thanks. I see we got a good few people on the call so far, so I guess we'll give them a minute or two, and whenever you guys are ready, you can proceed.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Can you see my screen okay?
Yes,
Okay,
yep.
great.
I can't even fix this thing. Shoot. I'm not muted.
Okay, so we'll wait probably like 2 more minutes and then we can begin just to give other persons to get a chance to join.
Morning.
Morning.
Hey, Andrew. Just want
How
to
you?
test the audio, make sure everyone's
Yep.
working.
Yeah, it's good. I guess you
Yep.
could mute for now until you have a
Yep.
question, and
Yep.
they'll get going in a minute.
All right.
Okay, so I guess we will start. Good morning again, everyone. My name is Lachelle White, and I'm an investment manager with CFAL. Joining me today is Shafika Johnson, and she is the pension administrator for your pension plan. Shafika, would you like to say a few words before we begin?
No, go ahead. Take it away. Good
Okay,
morning to
okay.
everyone.
Okay, so today we'll be giving an overview of the pension plan. And we will first start to give a little background on CFAL, and then we'll go into your investment solutions. And then I will hand the presentation over to Shafika, who will go through the plan design and managing your account. And then we will take any questions that you may have. So CFAL is a leading independent investment and advisory firm and the largest pension provider in the Bahamas. We have a proven record of financial stability and integrity in all economic climates. Currently, we have 2.8 billion in assets under management, and these assets are segregated, meaning that client assets are separated from company assets, so no commingling of assets. We currently have 5 mutual funds. Those include 3 domestic B dollar funds, as well as 2 international US dollar funds. And as mentioned, we are the largest individual and group pension provider in the Bahamas. Um, we provide companies such as John Bull with pension services, and we also offer individual pension plans, including the Blue Marlin Retirement Plan. Our philosophy is building long-lasting relationships based on integrity, expertise, and quality service. For under integrity, we strive, we are very transparent. We give clients access to their online statements and 24/7 access, as well as we post the performance of our products, including our mutual funds on our website. Those are updated on a quarterly basis. In terms of expertise, our investments team possess strong capital markets knowledge, and we always encourage our staff to pursue further designation so that they may better service our clients. In terms of our service levels, we pride ourselves on giving clients the best level of service possible, and our clients can be assured of our complete competence. Okay, so now we will go into the investment solutions available to you in the pension plan. So you have employees may select either of the 4 strategies or all of them, but the total must add up to 100%. So what you have available to you is the CFAL Bond Fund, the CFAL Balance Fund, and the CFAL Target Rate Fund, as well as the ILBIF Fund. The employer contribution would match the whatever the employee is investing in. First, we'll start with the conservative strategy, which is the CFAL Bond Fund. This fund has no equities, and it is most appropriate for members who are closer to retirement or those persons who want to take very little risk. The fund seeks to preserve principal by investing primarily in high yield, high quality short-term and long-term fixed income securities. At the end of March 2025, the fund had total assets under management of 553.594 million. As mentioned, it's a conservative fund, so the risk level is low, and the time horizon is medium to long term. The target return of the fund is 4.25%, which is the Bahamian dollar prime rate. For the first 3 months of 2025, the fund returned 0.96%, and last year the fund was up 3.85%. The 3-year average return is 3.88%. The fund was started in September 2003, and the since inception return is 4.92%. So this is a very conservative strategy. As I mentioned, there are no equities. At the end of the first quarter, the fund had about 75.8% in fixed income securities and 20.1% in cash and equivalent securities. And that included cash at bank, as well as term deposits and Bahamas government treasury bills. The fund also had
I think you missed and hit mute. We can't hear you.
Okay, sorry about that.
There you go.
Okay. So was everybody able to hear me when I was speaking about the asset allocation? I just go through that part again.
Sure.
Okay, so at the end of March, the fund had an asset allocation of 75.8% in fixed income, 20.1% in cash and equivalent investments, and that included cash at bank, term deposits, and 11.2% in Bahamas government treasury bills. The fund also had a small component of preference shares of 4.1%, and those are preference shares issued by local companies. And next, we will look at one of the balance strategies, which is the CFAL Balance Fund. The CFAL Balance Fund is for members who have more time until retirement and can withstand fluctuations in market returns. So we'll go through your determining your risk tolerance later, but basically we would recommend such a strategies for persons who are further away from retirement so that if there are short-term losses in the short term, they will have enough time to recoup them before they retire. So unlike the CFAL Bond Fund, this fund invests in equities, and the fund also has bonds as well as preference shares. At the end of March, the fund had 42.236 million in assets under management. The risk level is medium or moderate, and the time horizon is medium to long term. The target return is 6.5% to 8%. Year to date, for the first 3 months of the year, the fund had a return of 0.85%, and that was primarily due to lackluster returns in BISX, which is the local stock exchange. And BISX would have returned about 0.6% in that period. So the return was relatively low, which would have caused lower returns in the overall balance fund itself. So last year, the fund was up 6.06%, and the year before that, it was up 6.18%. The 3-year average return was 5.87%, and the annual return since inception, which was October 1994, was 5.80%. So the fund has done very well since the pandemic. So we would see the post-pandemic returns averaged about 6%. I think the year before it was like 11%, but it sort of petered out in 2025 so far. As I mentioned, this is a moderate fund. It's currently underweight in equities due to the lack of availability of suitable common stocks and perpetual preference shares in the local market. So at the end of March, the fund would have had 52.7% in fixed income security, and that includes government bonds as well as corporate bonds. 26.7% in equities and perpetual preference shares, and 20.5% in cash and equivalents, and that includes cash at bank and T-bills. So the cash was quite high at the end of the quarter because we would have had some large subscriptions, which we would not have been able to invest all the monies before the quarter end. So the fund had quite a high balance in cash at the end of the quarter. Next, we have another conservative fund available to you, and this is the CFAL Target Rate Fund. And basically, this fund is for investors who seek principal participation at a target rate of return. So this fund is similar to the bond fund in that it invests in a diversified mix of high yields and high quality short-term and long-term fixed income security, and that includes government bonds and corporate bonds. But this fund, unlike the bond fund, this fund offers a guaranteed return of prime plus 0.25%, and that target return is currently 4.5%. So you would get 4.5% per annum on this fund, regardless of the return of the underlying investments. So at the end of the first quarter, this fund had 108.289 million in assets under management. The risk level is low and the time horizon is medium to long term. This fund was started in September 2013, so we won't have the same return numbers as the other funds because, like I mentioned, this the fund you would just get the target return of 4.5% regardless of the performance of the underlying assets. So at the end of the quarter, the fund had about 12% in cash investments, and that includes cash at banks, term deposits, and treasury bills. 74.8% in fixed income investments, which included government and corporate bonds. 10.2% in preference shares, and a small component of 3.1% in loans. And next we have another balance strategy available to you, which is the CFAL ILBIF fund. And this fund is similar to the balance fund, except this fund has a real estate component that includes mortgage loan as well as a real estate fund. So this strategy is for long-term investors who seek the highest return, and that includes income and capital appreciation. So you would get income from dividends and interest payments, as well as capital appreciation from market movements, and that's basically on the equities that trade on the local stock exchange. So the fund invests in a blend of equities which possess strong long-term value and growth, and these investments may include common stocks, preference shares, corporate bonds, government bonds, and cash and equivalents. The fund is slightly bigger than the balance fund. Total assets under management at the end of March was 64.7 million. Like the balance fund, the risk level is medium and the time horizon is medium to long term. The target return is 6.5% to 8%. And year to date, as at March 2025, the fund was up 1.03%. The 2024 return was 6.47%, and the 3-year average return was 6.28%. This fund is quite old. The fund was first established in May 1969. So like I said, the holdings and the strategies are similar to the balance fund. At the end of March, the fund had about 6.7% in cash and equivalents, 56.5% in fixed income investments, including government bonds and corporate bonds, 31% in equities, and 5.9% in real estate, which included mortgage loans as well as a real estate fund. So now we're going to go into how do you decide which of these strategies or which combination of these strategies are best for you. And so we're going to look at determining your risk tolerance. And so before selecting an investment, whether it's a personal investment or for your pension fund strategy, it is important that you analyze your risk tolerance. So your risk tolerance, determining your risk tolerance is the first step to take before choosing the best investments to meet your financial goals. Basically, risk tolerance is a degree to which you are comfortable with volatility and variability investment returns. So you have to ask yourself, how much risk can I tolerate? How comfortable am I with upward market movements or downward market movements? And your risk tolerance is affected by several things, and that includes your investment time horizon. And you would have to determine how far away from retirement am I. So the closer you are to retirement, the less risk you should take. If you are young, say if you are in your 20s or 30s and you have a longer time to retirement, you have more time to recoup any losses. So you're typically able to accept more risk. Your risk tolerance is also affected by your investment return expectations. So if you want to receive a higher return, you typically have to take on more risk. But you have to be sure. Everybody wants to get higher returns, but not everybody wants to take on high risk. So you have to be sure that you're comfortable with the amount of risk that you are taking to achieve your desired returns. And you can also look at your tolerance for risk is also affected by additional sources of potential income. So if your pension is going to be your only source of income in retirement, you typically can take a lot of risk because you want to protect that nest egg. However, if you have other investments such as rental property and other savings, you have a larger pool of funds to draw down from, and you can take a bit more risk. So what do we have available for you to help you determine what your risk tolerance is? We do have a form that you can fill out. It's called the Investment Risk Profiler. And what this does is it helps you to assess your personal risk tolerance. Some of you may have completed this before. So basically you answer a series of questions on the form, and then you total your responses. There's a scoring system, so you total it at the end, and it'll tell you whether you're a conservative investor, a moderate investor, or an aggressive investor. So this is a very useful form for you to fill out. If you have like a change in your circumstances, you may want to consider looking at it again and seeing if you need to update your risk profile. So now I will hand it over to Shaviga, who will go through your pension plan with you.
Good morning again, and thank you, Lachelle. And thank you, Mr. Roberts, for having us here with you today. Just a little note, this session is also being recorded, okay? So as we go through the plan design, I'll speak to you about the type of plan that you have. Next slide. So the plan design John Bell offers is a defined contribution plan. This is where you and your employer contribute regular fixed amounts, where funds are set aside that grow over time, which you then use to fund your retirement. Persons who are participating in the pension plan for John Bull, I must commend you because in the Bahamas, we only have about 30% of companies that offer a pension plan. So you might want to give kudos to John Bull for offering its staff a pension plan. So how does this work? These funds, the defined contribution pension plan, the funds come from your employee salaries. It's employee mandatory 5% and the employer's contribution of 3% and any additional voluntary contributions. The pension growth depends on these contributions plus the performance of the investment funds selected. Participation in John Bull's pension plan is not mandatory, but once you choose to join, you are bound by the plan rules. John Bull Pension Plan also offers a feature where you can contribute voluntary contributions. In addition to the mandatory 5%, employees are encouraged to make additional voluntary contributions to increase long-term pension value. This is especially helpful because some employees may earn both a base salary and commission. Additional voluntary contributions provide a way to boost your pension balance and influence its growth more directly. Voluntary contributions are allowed monthly. However, if a member wishes to contribute a lump sum, it must be at least $500 per month submitted on the first of each month. We encourage you to choose the voluntary value that you are most comfortable with because you don't want to start saying that you can send in $500 and you're unable to. So maybe something that you're a little bit more comfortable with, where you could be consistently putting in those contributions on a monthly basis. So as little as $50 a week, $20 a week, but you get added up and it all adds up. You continue to send in your additional voluntary contributions. The plan follows a 10-year tiered vesting schedule. I will speak more about this on the next slide. Who's eligible? You are eligible to join the plan after completing 1 year of employment with the company. Withdrawals are not allowed unless they are authorized by the company. Reminded that this is money set aside for your retirement. Termination from the plan is only through resignation, termination of employment, or retirement. The normal retirement age under this plan is 65. Can everyone hear me? I'm hearing that someone else is saying they're not able to hear.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're fine.
we're
Okay,
fine.
great.
I don't know, Morale, maybe something's wrong with your speaker.
Okay. Next slide, please. This is the schedule where it speaks to how John Bull rewards long-term commitment to the company. For employees who would have spent much more time and years with the company, and they were a participant of the plan, John Bull rewards you, and they reward you using this this vesting schedule. This vesting determines how much of the company's 3% contributions you are entitled to based on your years of participation. So 0 to 5 years, you will only get 100% of your contribution, but you will not get any of John Bull's contribution. After you would have participated within the John Bull pension plan, after 6 years, you will be entitled to 3% of the company's contribution, 7 years, 40%, 8 years, 60%, 9 years, 80%, and after 10 years or more, you'll become 100% vested and you will be entitled to both your contributions as well as the company's contribution. Next slide, please. Reference managing your account. CFAL offers an online pension management system. And here you can manage your pension account and it offers real-time access to your account details. It's user-friendly. It allows you to track your savings and update your personal information. Then we have the secure messaging system. Next slide. Well, this is the portability feature. Well, secure messaging system. Which one? Secure messaging system. You can use the secure messaging system to contact the pension administration team. And this will be contacting us on information that directly impacts your pension only. Then there's the portability feature. Upon termination or as a supplement tool, CFAL offers plan members to transfer your funds to another plan or an individual retirement account when you would have terminated. So if you were to change jobs or move to another company that does not have a pension plan, you could just transfer your John Bull pension that you would receive into another individual retirement account. Or if you transfer to a company that is also with CFAL, you might be able to transfer those funds into your voluntary portion within there. So there'll be no break into your savings towards your pension. Next slide, please. Okay, we get a lot of questions on how to access your pension account online. Member statements can be found here. And so you're able to view them. I mentioned that our online pension system is user-friendly and convenient and offers real-time updated information. So you will be able to access it using this feature. So to view your pension statement and to manage your account, you can go to our website, which is www.cfal.com. And on the home page, you'll click Client Access, which is usually located to the top right of the screen. From there, you'll select the appropriate option to access the online pension management system. Once you're at the online login screen, you will enter your user ID, and usually this is provided to your administrator who will give you this information upon enrolling into the pension plan. Otherwise, your user ID is normally your NIB number, and then you will enter your password. There will be cases where you may have forgotten your password. If you would have forgotten your password, we ask that you click on Forgot Password and follow the prompts. You'll need to provide your email address if one was previously registered with CFAL. Then you will enter your user ID and your password will be sent to your email. If you've never provided us or registered an email with CFAL, you can go in and click on I do not have an email address. Please reset. Enter your email address. The system will notify us, CFAL, the plan administrators, who will update your record and activate your login. Once approved, you'll receive an email with your user ID and password, and then you can go ahead and enter that information into the system and you'll be able to access your statement. Next slide. So here I will walk you through how to read your statement, including where you will find your contributions to date, the investment strategy. You could see where you're currently that you're currently in, the fund performance, which is under change in value, which shows where your interest being allocated, where you will be able to locate your vesting summary to see your current vested percent, your beneficiary information, and your total final balance. So on this slide, you're looking at your census information, your NIB number, your date of birth, etc. Also, you'll be seeing on this statement a consolidated report which shows you your total vested value, the contributions for the period for which you would have ran that statement, and it also combines a total value which includes both John Bull's contribution and as well as your contributions. That doesn't mean that this total value that's reflected here will go to you as a termination. So if you look at this statement, it's at the very top right. It speaks about it shows about your plan level, your total plan value, and it's showing $21,000. As we scroll through the statement, it shows a total in the middle. It shows a total vested value of 16,000. So it means that you are not 100% vested. But if we go to the next slide, it breaks out more information for you. This continues to give you an investment activity of the period in which you're looking at, as well as the contribution being broken down in a consolidated manner. And you could see over at the right, is showing a change in value, your vested return, and your ending balances. In the middle of the screen, it shows a vesting summary. This particular person, Shandy Brennan, she is only 50% vested. So she will not get 100% of the company's pension. She will only be receiving $5,000 of that. But if you look carefully under the current vested percentage, it shows that you are getting 100% of your contributions with interest. Plus, you're now entitled to 50% of the company's contribution, leaving you with a total of $16,000 to receive. Below that, you will find your beneficiary information. This beneficiary information can change based on your circumstances, and it also shows the relationship as well as the amount you wish to leave to whomever beneficiary you have listed. Next slide. This um, this is also a part of your statement, and this shows your contribution amounts. So monthly contributions are reported to you, reported to CFAL, and we update the report reflecting your contributions on the last business day of each month. And we receive them timely on a monthly basis. And of course, we have to update them as quickly as possible. We try to get them into the system within 2 to 3 business days after receipt, once funding has been provided. And then over to the right, you see the change in value. That's your interest column. Again, interest is allocated to your account on a monthly basis, and that's reported on the first business day of the month. Interest is calculated once the net asset value of the funds have been finalized, and then the administrator would reconcile your account. So you would see the interest lagging, normally in arrears about a month prior to. Next slide. This slide speaks to the operating of your pension plan. So each of the forms we use help to manage or update your pension plan. They must be completed by you, the employee, signed and submitted to your HR department. Your first mode of contact is always John Bull and in the HR department. And you could go directly to Mr. Roberts, who is very helpful, and he will assist you with whatever questions you may have. Once you would have presented your documents to HR, HR will then forward the forms to CFILE for processing. We have the enrollment form for those who might not be in the plan but is wishing to go into the plan and is willing to do so. This form is required when you first join the pension plan. This ensures that your account is properly set up and your selected contribution and fund details are allocated correctly. Additionally, on that form, you will be required to complete a section for your beneficiary, as well as a section of where you will choose your investment direction. Then we have the termination forms. This is completed when you would have left the company. And again, once you join the pension plan, you will have to abide by the rules that govern the pension plan. So you will remain in the pension plan unless you would have resigned, terminate, or retired, otherwise demise from the pension plan. This form initiates the transfer or payment process for your pension entitlement. If you leave John Bull and have not completed this form, you may not get your pension until you contact Mr. Roberts. So it's important that once you decide to leave, you make sure speak with the HR department so that all forms will be properly completed so that you can get your pension. We also have a change of investment direction form. This form allows members to switch their investment strategy. You are able to diversify your investment in each of the investment strategies that Lachelle would have spoken to you about earlier. And so you have the option, should you decide that you want to be a little bit more aggressive, you can do so, but you could change it by using this change of investment direction form, and this can only be done once per calendar year. Okay, again, this is done through your HR department. Bearing in mind that although a lot of people would like to chase the returns, the higher returns, a lot of Bahamians are risk adverse and are unable to deal with the downward trend in the market. So it's very important to understand, like Lachelle mentioned, your risk level. We also have the change of beneficiary form. This form is used to update your beneficiaries. This can be used after marriage, divorce, birth of a child, and it can be submitted anytime. Your personal circumstances may change. Then there's the contribution rate change form. The contribution rate change form allows you to adjust your contribution rate. Say if there's someone who is not doing voluntary contribution and would like to make a voluntary contribution, you could do it. You could either you can complete this form, send it to Mr. Roberts, or just have him notify him that that is something that you would like to do, and he would he'd provide us with that information to make sure that happens. We recommend that once you make this change, let it be something that you can at least be able to deal with or live with until. Okay, and I'll answer the questions right after this. Okay, 1 second for me, please.
Yeah, sorry, that wasn't intended for you. I was telling
Okay.
the person to clarify it so that at the end we could ask the questions. Thanks.
Okay. Okay, great. So the contribution rate is especially relevant if you want to contribute more based on your income. Then we also provide quarterly performance reports. These reports are sent out on a quarterly basis to the sponsor, which is John Bull, and they provide the performance of each investment fund. This helps you make informed decisions about your investment directions. At this time, we'll take any questions you may have. Michelle, that's the last slide, right?
If we want to start by the ones in the chat, I figured it'd be easier if people put them as they thought of them.
Okay.
One of them was, well, the first one is not there, but the person asked, can we submit the change in investment direction now? Usually we do it in January. I don't think anyone did it this year. So if it's just once a year, it's okay if they do it after this call, meaning this week. Does that work for you guys, or has to be in January?
We prefer that it remains as standard. So if you haven't done it, then you'll have to catch us at the end of the year.
Okay, so January or December, when do you prefer it?
Well, if it's for January, you'll have to send it in January for the end of January to be effective for Feb 1. Okay?
Okay,
Yes, sir.
okay, so they can't submit it now. They'd have to wait till end of year. Okay.
Mhm.
Another question, with the voluntary portion contribution, does the contribution have to be equal to the 500 per month? I know you referred to 500 per month, but I think that was only for lump sum, correct?
Correct. That's for
So the-
lump sum. Just to clarify that a bit, we encourage members to contribute as much voluntary as they can. Some people are able to do more, and others are only able to state that they can do. For example, if someone may be able to do $20 a week, at the end of the month, that can add up to about $100, depending on the amount of weeks in the month. It could be more, but as much as you can do, but we try to limit it to at least 100 per month. So you could, if you're paid weekly, you could just decide to take it out weekly. But the lump sum, it means if you're gonna do a lump sum, we ask that some persons come into a lump sum of cash and they want to send in a lump sum. Is it going to be consistent, or is this a one-time injection? If it's a one-time injection, the minimum will be $500, and then you can just send that in. And then if you are not able to do voluntary on a regular basis, and it can only happen once there's a bonus or if there's a high commission happening, you would receive, then you could notify Mr. Roberts and let him know that I wish to send in at $500 in the month of October or the month of November, but it have to be reported to the HR personnel before payroll. So,
Right, thank you. Another question, I initially joined the plan, but had a break in contributions for approximately 2 years due to the impact of COVID-19. I've since rejoined the plan and resumed contributions. Could you please advise if my vested time continues from where I left off, or if I restarted from zero upon rejoining?
if you would have terminated your pension plan when you would have done the break in service, then you would have had to rejoin the pension plan, which means your participation in the pension plan started over, and your vesting schedule only works based on the participation within the plan. So if you would have terminated then and rejoined, we would have rehired you in the plan, and so you would be considered a new member. However, if you would have gotten approval, and that's what happened, I'm not sure, but you would have to speak to Mr. Roberts concerning whether you terminated or did not terminate from the plan.
Right, okay, and yeah, and if you just paused because of COVID-19, then you would not have terminated. To have terminated, you would have gotten your funds out of the plan and then restarted. So hopefully that answers your question. If not, Tazina, give me a call later, I'll help you. Marielle asks, the part was explained about our user ID and password. Very easy, cfile.com. User ID is your NIB number. And then I know you don't know your password because 99% of people don't know it. So click on forgot my password and then make sure you have it somewhere secure so you remember it going forward once you reset it, and then you'll be in and be able to check it monthly. And as Shafika said, keep in mind that it's at least 30 days behind because we pay at the end of the month, and sometimes it can be longer. So don't have any fear. We've been doing this for decades and decades. The money will get there. The money will be posted by CFile. You don't need to call and check on it. Just know that it could be 30 to 60 days behind.
Any other
Great.
questions?
Yes. Can you send info on the independent retirement fund? I think they're talking about, I think you call it Blue Marlin.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll tell you where you can locate that. If you want to go right to our website, you can go to our website, www.cfile.com, and you look under client services, and all of our information in reference to our individual plans as well as our mutual funds are all on our website. I'm directing you via the website because if you're interested in the individual retirement plan, you would actually have to enroll using the link and website. So that's why I'm sending you there for the information.
Great. And the investment risk profiler tool, I don't think I've seen that. Is that on the website or?
No, I
Can you
can email that to you. You would have seen that many years ago when we used
Yeah.
to come out. Yeah, so I'll email that to you so you can have it. But I think you're doing a great job in directing your members, especially the new ones, into um choosing their investment allocations. But
Yeah,
I
and
can send it to you.
I'll put that on our SharePoint intranet, and I'm sure everyone knows, but as a reminder, there's out in SharePoint under Human Resources Documents, there's a pension folder, and all the pension forms are there. This video will end up being there. This investment risk profiler will be posted there. So anything you need, change of beneficiary form, etc., will be out there. So go out there to access it. A question about the beneficiary process. Camille, maybe you could clarify that, but a question I had while she clarifies is the beneficiary on the pension plan like a life insurance policy, meaning that it goes directly to the beneficiary, or does it still have to go through probate, etc.?
Okay, once a name beneficiary is on your pension plan, it's not like the life insurance. Once you name a beneficiary here at CFile, that is the person who will receive your benefit should you demise. That's why we always ask that you indicate clearly the names of the persons you wish to be your beneficiaries, and make sure it's someone that you can trust, because once they are named, that is who will be paid. You will
So they
not have to,
basically come in and get a check from CFile.
well, they will have to first see you and fill out
Yeah,
the death benefit form,
right.
and the funds will be wired to their account
To their
once we
account.
can
Yeah.
confirm that that is the same individual that was named.
What happens in the case of a minor?
In the case of a minor, the funds would remain until that minor would have reached normal legal age, and they would have attained the age of 18, and they would submit their documentation. And the funds will remain accruing interest until that time.
Great.
Sorry, Andrew, even if there's an executor?
If you name someone in trust for, the funds will be paid directly to the person that you have named. Um,
But like if you
i-
name your estate as the
if
beneficiary, then that would all go through your estate, your executor, your probate, etc. If you name an
mhm.
individual, it would go directly to that individual. I think it's in your best interest to name an individual so that it doesn't get tied up longer and subject to probate fees, etc.
Correct.
Does that answer your question, Inga?
No. And while I don't have a minor, just for those who may have a minor, just, that minor may need to be taken care of by the funds left behind. So if that minor is 5,
Yeah, then they may
And
want to,
can-
you leave it to their estate in that case to get
Yeah.
it quicker than age 18 or 21, whatever. Is it, I
Exactly.
assume it's
Mhm.
18, right?
It is 18. In
Right.
some cases like that, you would find that persons would leave a named trustee, someone in
Gotcha.
trust for.
Right.
And that's why we highly recommend that you ensure that it's someone that you trust because, and you're sure that they'll carry out
Take
your
care.
wishes
Right.
because the funds will be sent directly to that named person.
Good. Yeah,
Right.
Andrew, I was only asking for those on the call with minors, so good.
Right.
Okay.
Good. Okay, and then, yeah, Camille clarified, I guess, how do you redeem for the beneficiary process? And Camille, there's a death benefit form that's out there that you would have to fill out, HR would sign, and we would send it to CFAL, and then they would facilitate it from there. Are you able to say specifically which companies CFAL invests in other than government bonds? For example, what real estate?
Michelle?
Okay, so on our website, we would have the quarterly reports and they would show the top holdings in the funds. So basically for the target rate fund and the bond fund, it's just basically government bonds and corporate bonds. For the balance fund, you'll be able to see the top 5 holdings, and those include companies like J.S. Johnson, Commonwealth Bank, Kalina, Focal. So you'll be able to see those. In the ILBIF fund, they have some older mortgage loans, and they also have a real estate fund called the Premier Real Estate Fund. So that's the only real estate investments that are in those funds. And because it's such a small component, you would not be able to see those in the top holdings on the performance report. But the performance report is available. I don't think the ILBIF fund would not be on the website because it's not available to the public, but I believe that Shafiqa would send that to Mr. Roberts. But the balance fund, you can find the information for the balance fund on the website.
Question for you, is ILBIF and MSI the same?
No, ILBIF is older fund, and ILBIF has the real estate component. MSI is the balance fund. So the balance fund was
Oh, it
previously
used to be
called,
that.
yeah, it
Right.
used to be Kalina MSI. So
Okay,
that's
the
the
reason
balance
I
fund.
ask is, hold on, someone needs to mute their microphone, please.
Okay, I muted everyone. You can unmute yourself.
Question for you. The ILBIF fund, we're not seeing out under our options on the website. That someone posts that. I don't know if that's needs to be added or we're missing it, seeing it. If you look in the chat, you'll see Dorian posted what is
Yeah.
available to us.
Yeah, I see.
What is
not
available to
sure.
you where, Mr. Roberts? Because it is
Yeah, they have,
provided to you on your you mean
yeah,
on
the
the
list. Yeah, I'm seeing, I opened the screenshot, so I see the target rate fund, aggressive, balanced, conservative, John Bull group of companies portfolio, the guaranteed, and the John Bull MSI fund. So it doesn't specifically say ILBIF in the
Oh.
options, yeah.
That's the
But
first
if they
time I've
wanted
heard
to
of that
add
before.
it, they could, and then it would show up.
Yeah, so I think that we'll have to check to look into that. Because yeah,
Okay.
that's not on the options.
Okay,
allowing
yeah.
them to choose for balance.
But
To choose
The
for
ILBIF.
ILBIF.
Well, ILBIF is our is still a balanced strategy. So you still hold those holdings within your plan. So yeah, we
Yeah,
wouldn't
but it
have it
should,
listed as ILBIF.
it would
okay,
just be,
so it'll
but
just
what
be
happens if you were
probably
what if you were in balanced and ILBIF? It's going to be combined into one?
No, You'll see that separated um, on your statement. It's separated. Those who you would only at this time, I think it's only the persons who were previously in ILBIF who did not come out of ILBIF, who still remain in that fund. We don't have any new persons going into the ILBIF. If they choose balance, they're going into the CFAL balance fund.
Oh, so they can't choose ILBIF.
No, that's just for persons who were previously in ILBIF.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, that guess that clarifies it. Okay, so Dorian, it sounds like you only can choose the balance fund, not the ILBIF, and if you're not already in ILBIF. Someone asked the difference between MSI and target funds. Well, the MSI is an old fund, right?
Yeah, so the MSI
So
is the old fund and the
that's not
target
offered
fund.
anymore.
Yeah, no, so that would be the balance fund. So the MSI fund was transferred over to the balance fund. The target fund is, you wouldn't see that on the website either, sorry. That's not available to the public, so that wouldn't be on our website, but that is available to you as a pension client of CFAL. So the target fund is a guaranteed return. So you would get a guaranteed return of 4.5% per annum, whereas the other funds, such as the bond fund or the balance fund, the return is based on their performance. So you would get whatever the fund performs during the year, that would be the return that is applied to you. But the target fund is a fund that you get the 4.5%, and that doesn't change. That would only change if the Bahamian prime rate, which is currently 4.5%, that target rate would only change if the Bahamian prime rate changes.
Right. Okay, and Felina asks if it's easy process change of beneficiary. Yes, it's just one form out there. You fill it out. I think that has to come to HR as well. It's a sign, and then I forward to them. Once John Bull submits the form in the event of death and CFAL receives a notice form with benefactor's name, what is the time frame for payment to the benefactor?
The time frame is the same as if someone would have been terminating, because all of the funds are invested. So it's anywhere from the time we would have received it, 6 to 8 weeks
Right,
after.
great. And the most aggressive fund that you can join is the
That'll be the balance.
Balance.
balance now.
Yeah,
It
from
used
your
to be an
options, yeah.
aggressive. The aggressive you'll see was out there, but it's no longer offered. So balance fund.
Correct.
Good. Any other questions? Those are great questions, and it was a great presentation. Thank you very much. Any other questions? Hi there.
Yes, Javan. This is Javan. There's a few of us here sharing the tablet. So, I did have a question about I think it was a one-time payment. I don't remember the terminology now because I had to wait for all the questions to be asked. But let's say someone came into some funds and they wanted to make this one-time lump sum. So the process would be to go through Dumble HR. Did I understand that correctly?
Well, this is a company-sponsored pension plan, so all monies coming to CFAL will definitely have to come through John Bull. So they will have to approve that and
Okay,
agree that they will send it into us.
understood.
But when I speak about coming into monies, that could be your commission that you're making. That's also salary based from John Bull. I'm not talking about anything outside of that. But if you do come into an excess of money, say for some inheritance or selling of a property, you can reach out to us directly and we'll be happy to assist you.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about, like an inheritance or some purchase or something of that nature. I was specifically talking about that.
Yes.
And I did have one more question before I hand it over. A lot of times, is there a specific way to put in the dates when we're searching? Because a lot of times, like even now, all of us in this room, which were on the thing trying to download the thing, or some of us
Okay.
were hitting go, some of us were hitting download. I know you showed us it, but I don't remember you showing us exactly how to.
Okay. Once you would have
Okay.
entered the portal, you would see reporting. You go to reporting, and then you would choose your the date, the member
1
state.
hour late, damn it.
Yeah, you
Sorry.
you'll see you'll choose reporting, member statement, then they'll ask you for a start and end date. Usually you can run it for the calendar year. So you could start from January 1, 2025 to today's date. It brings over it rolls over your balances. And we ask that you click download, because download is faster, and go will just take a little bit more time.
Yeah, Jessica asked how long it takes to do a statement. Once you go on and run the statement process, it should pop up within a 30 seconds or a minute.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, just make sure that you don't have any pop-up blockers on your browser, and then you can
Yeah,
also
it
check
does.
the downloads folder to see if it's in there, because
yeah,
it should automatically download.
one of the things for me, it doesn't work when I hit go. It only works if I hit download. So try hitting download, not go, and then look in your download folder.
Correct.
Yeah, that's usually the case with me as well. But it sometimes takes really long. Like it takes like 10, like today it took about almost a whole call because we started all trying to do it from the time that you do it, and now it's all coming up for all of us now.
It took that long? Okay, I'll
Yeah.
take a look at that.
Thank
Thank you.
Yeah, unless it's some server issue or connection issue. Normally it should take no more than a minute, half a
Yeah.
minute. Very good. Any other questions? And I know some of you joined late, and that is probably because, you know, you're on the floor and can't get on. So this will be recorded. I will send it out and also post it in the SharePoint portal. In fact, I won't send the video. It's too large. I'll send the link from the SharePoint portal so that you could access it there.
Okay, thank you for having us. We appreciate this meeting with you. And any other questions, you could forward them to Mr. Roberts, and he'll be sure to get them to us.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. It's
Yeah,
great.
thank you very much. It was very professional. Well done. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
I'll let you know if any other questions.
Great, thank you.
Thanks. Have a great
Have a
day,
good day.
everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.